All right, let's dive into a pretty fascinating social experiment. What actually happens inside your brain when you just go silent, when you deliberately ignore people for 7 straight days? It sounds a little extreme, right? Maybe even a bit harsh, but the idea here isn't about being rude. It's about a strategic pause. What if that silence could actually fundamentally reset your brain's circuits for attention, for reward, and even how you see yourself? So first, we gotta understand the problem that an experiment like this is even designed to solve. We are all living in an age of constant social noise, and, well, our brains are kind of paying the price for it. You know, this isn't just a feeling, it's straight up biology. Your brain has this specific little region, the temporoparietal junction, and it pretty much acts like a full-time social radar. It's constantly scanning, always asking, what do they think of me? Am I fitting in? And that creates this relentless background hum of social noise. So this isn't just ignoring people. Let's reframe that. We're gonna call it a social fast. Think of it like a detox, but for your social brain. It's a tool you can use to intentionally quiet all that noise and give your neural circuits a much-needed break, a chance to recalibrate. But, and this is a big but, before you get to all the good stuff, you have to push through a period of some genuine discomfort. And there's a really fascinating scientific reason why being ignored, even when you're the one choosing it, feels so bad at first. Here's why it hurts so much. It's kind of wild. Neuroscientists found that social rejection, that pain of being ignored or excluded, it lights up the exact same brain region as physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex. So to your brain, a broken heart and a broken leg looks surprisingly similar. It registers social threats as if they are actual physical threats to your survival. And this isn't just some abstract academic idea. As this quote from Psychology Today really highlights, that feeling is intensely real. It's visceral. It feels like a cutting sensation because it taps into our deepest, most primal programming. So why is the pain so sharp? Well, it's because it pokes at our most fundamental human needs. It triggers these ancient fears of being abandoned by the tribe. It threatens our core need to belong, and all of that uncertainty can quickly spiral into some deep anxiety and self-doubt. But if you can push through that initial pain, something really remarkable starts to happen. You actually begin a neurological reset. So let's look at how your brain's chemistry starts to change. Just think about your phone. Every single like, every comment, every text message, it's an unpredictable little reward. Your brain gets a small hit of that pleasure chemical, dopamine. And this creates this incredibly powerful feedback loop that basically trains your brain to constantly crave that external validation to get its next fix. And this slide breaks down that whole detox timeline perfectly. For the first few days, it's withdrawal. The cravings for those little dopamine hits, they're intense. But then around day 4 or so, your dopamine receptors actually start to resensitize. By the end of the week, you've established a whole new baseline. And suddenly, simple, quiet activities, like reading a book or just going for a walk, they start to feel deeply satisfying again, because your brain isn't just sitting around waiting for an external reward. So here's the really crucial point. When you quiet down that part of your brain that's obsessed with social standing, you free up a massive amount of cognitive energy. And that energy can be redirected to your prefrontal cortex. That's the CEO of your brain, the part responsible for focus, for planning, for deep work. You don't even need a full 7 days to feel this. Just an afternoon of true digital silence can give you a little taste of this reclaimed focus. This internal neurological shift, it also creates this profound change in your mindset. It actually alters how you think and how you operate out in the world. A lot of us live with something called the spotlight effect. It's that nagging, anxious feeling that everyone is constantly noticing our flaws and judging our every move. It's a cognitive bias that creates a huge amount of totally unnecessary pressure. A social fast is basically the ultimate cure for the spotlight effects. And why is that? Because you get 7 straight days of hard proof that the world goes on perfectly fine without you. Your subconscious learns that, the spotlight was never really on you to begin with. And that realization is so liberating. It can dramatically lower your baseline anxiety. This entire shift can really be summed up as moving from a reactive brain to a proactive brain. So instead of constantly reacting to texts and emails and what other people expect from you, your mind becomes a generator of its own ideas, driven by your own goals and your own plans. And the process is surprisingly simple.
First, you cut off all the external noise. This allows your brain's default mode network, that's its internal creative engine that daydreams and connects random ideas, to fire up. And that's where the magic happens. You know those aha moments we all get in the shower? You're basically creating the conditions for that to happen on demand.
Okay, so all of these changes we've talked about so far are internal. Your dopamine levels, your focus, your creativity. But there is a final and maybe the most counterintuitive outcome that happens externally. Withdrawing your attention doesn't just change your own mind. It can fundamentally change how other people perceive you and even value you. This is a core principle of social psychology. We humans are just wired to want what we can't have. When something is rare or less available, our perception of its value just automatically goes up. And this applies directly to our social lives. I mean, think about it. When you're always available, always the first to reply, your social value can become predictable, maybe even a little lower. But when you become strategically scarce, your perceived value goes up. You become more interesting, more mysterious. So, by taking a 7-day step back, you're not just resetting your own brain, you're actually resetting the social dynamics around you. People start to wonder. They reconsider your role in their lives, all because your absence created a little space. When you return, you're no longer just part of the background noise. You reemerge with a renewed sense of purpose that other people can actually feel. Which brings us to our final thought here. A social fast is clearly a powerful tool. It's great for internal focus, for creative thinking, for a neurological reset. But it also leverages these deep psychological principles of scarcity and social value. So the question we're left with is this: where do you draw the line? Is this the ultimate life hack for reclaiming your mental space? Or is it a tool for psychological manipulation? Something